This video is dedicated to Outlaw. Outlaw, thank you for supporting the EDH channel. Winota, Joiner of Forces versus Niv-Mizzet Parun, Fire Song and Sunspeaker, along with Yawgmoth, Thram Physician. But if I ditch it, then we're going to draw into a hand that has no lands in it. Yeah, do we just play it slow? And I'm thinking that this deck can be quite explosive, but I don't know yet because it's the first time playing it. So we'll just play a slower game, or a slower first few turns anyway. And we can get down the Goblin Rabblemaster on turn 3, followed by our commander, and flip into some humans. So yeah, I think we're looking alright here, as long as no one gets off to too fast a start. And that's the last thing we want to see in a Boros deck, is Authority of the Consuls. The very first spell that's cast of the game is one we don't want to see. Yeah, creatures entering tapped switches off our haste. Luckily we don't have any haste in hand as of yet. Well, it's just another land for us. Let's get out our basics. Don't think we're going to see a Blood Moon, but you never know. So I'm not actually all that worried that we've gotten into a lot of basics, but I'd like to stop drawing lands at this point. I think we've only got 36, 37. And then a turn 2 play from the Niv-Mizzet player, a Dowsing Dagger. So let's see who gets the tokens. Anyone but Yawgmoth, you would think. And actually, do they have Defender? Yeah, they do have Defender, so we can't attack with them. So it's not like we can do any damage with them either, but yeah, anyone but Yawgmoth gets these. And they've decided to choose us. So we get a couple of the plant tokens. Like I said, they have Defender, so we can't trigger our commander with them. Oh, and of course they do enter tapped, thanks to Authority of the Consuls. So gaining Badon, patron of the channel, who is playing Fire Song and Sunspeaker, gains them 2 life from the creatures entering. We're going to be gaining them a lot of life with Authority of the Consuls. Might have to go for them first, but yeah, Yawgmoth and Niv-Mizzet are creatures to worry about as well. Nightspawn playing Yawgmoth, and then Wizard 2015 playing Niv-Mizzet is an internet random. We have nothing to do on turn 2. Why don't we just... Do we need to worry about Mass Hysteria? I mean, there might be... I don't think we've got any kind of tap abilities or anything. Our opponents might though, so maybe it's not the best idea to play that out when we can't make use of haste. But someone might remove this thing. So we'll just play it out and see what happens. And now a Jet Medallion from Yawgmoth, and the basics have been mixed up. Basic Swamp and Snow Swamp. Yawgmoth wants to make lots of tokens, so I dare say Field of the Dead is in here. Seems to be in most decks nowadays. And no turn 2 play from Fire Song either, so they got this down and haven't done anything for the next 2 turns after that. And then Khan's Bastion being dropped from the Izzet player, so they're still quite a ways off of their commander, because don't forget it is very coloured mana intensive. And then just passing like that, so maybe they've got counter magic or something. We will go for the Rugged Prairie into Goblin Rabblemaster. And then we generate a token with haste at the beginning of combat, but that doesn't matter with an Authority of the Consuls in play. We're going to have to start attacking this Fire Song and Sunspeaker player. But the more time we take dealing with these, the longer these two get to stay in play, and both Yawgmoth and Niv-Mizzet do want to get into the end game, so it's a difficult one. In response to Goblin Rabblemaster's trigger, they go for a Trick Bind. That seems like a total waste of a Trick Bind, because we're going to get another Goblin next turn. We won't be able to swing in with it, but yeah, I wonder if it's worth building up a little Goblin army and then going for Winota, so that we can actually get some good benefit there. Yeah, the Trick Bind might actually have stopped us getting out our Winota next turn. I think we'll just go for Smothering Tithe instead. And Nightspawn, missing a land drop there, so apparently they don't have anything to do for 3 mana, unless they might have some kind of removal that they don't want to cast yet. Now another transforming artifact coming down, this time for the Boros player, Primal Amulet. Lots of instants and sorceries to cast in a Fire Song and Sunspeaker deck. So that should act like a mana rock for them. And then the Niv-Mizzet player is just playing another land and passing the turn again. It's noteworthy that they have their basics switched up as well. I wouldn't have thought you'd get too much Field of the Dead with Niv Mizzet, but maybe they're using it to generate creatures so that they can counter on the instants and sorceries, so maybe there's a field there as well. Generous Gift for Authority of the Consuls might be a thing, but if everyone wants to play slow, which they seemingly are doing at the moment, and we're the only player at the table that wants to play fast, it just means that we're going to eat removal. This might eat a counterspell from the Izzet player. Yeah, going after the Izzet control player is pretty rough, especially if all the spells you play are going to be pretty decent. A lot of players will just counter the first spell they see as well, as opposed to actually assessing the board. But Smothering Tithe is actually a worthwhile counter there for our opponent. And then we're going to swing in at the life gain player just to try and keep us all at a similar life total. Getting into the other land they needed, so they can get down their commander now, but deciding instead to go in for a Bloodghast. So fingers crossed we don't see a Skull Clamp. Haven't seen any fetches from our opponent yet, which goes really well with Bloodghast and Skull Clamp. And then a 1-mana Night's Whisper, draw 2 and lose 2. So keeping themselves up at 7 cards in hand. A Tormenting Voice coming from the Boros player. They discarded War Leader's Helix, so that obviously gets a counter on it. And then they went in for a Talisman into Worn Power Stone. So yeah, this player is really starting to become one to worry about. Might mean that the counter spells should start to be aimed over here, but we'll see what happens on that front. Oh, Storm the Vault. Wouldn't have thought you'd see too many artifacts in a Niv Mizzet Parun deck, apart from Ramp, that is. Maybe all their artifacts are mana rocks, but yeah, this is really one to worry about, especially in an artifact build, which Niv Mizzet Parun shouldn't be. And speaking of artifacts, there is a Lightning Greaves for us, which is useless again because of the Authority of the Consuls. But everyone's tapped out now, so I think it might be a good time to get our commander down. And then we'll see if we can flip into anything decent. Yeah, just imagine how crazy we'd be going right now if it wasn't for the Authority of the Consuls. That might have to eat a Generous Gift. Anyway, we'll take both of these in at the life gain player. Goblin Rabblemaster triggers and gets +1 to its power. And then we'll get into a Brewstal, which says target creature gains double strike and lifelink when it enters. And we'll just, yeah, we'll go in hard at the Boros player because I want rid of that Authority of the Consuls. I should start going in at other people as well, really. Anyway, the double strike will go here because it's got more power. And then, what else are we getting into? There is Geist Honoured Monk. Lena, Selfless Champion. You sacrifice it. Creatures you control with power less than its power gain indestructible. That is the intelligent one to go for. And we'll just send that in at the Izzet player, just to spread a little bit of damage around. Bunch more life being gained from Authority of the Consuls, thanks to this thing entering. We get a soldier for each non-token creature we control. So we got into that in the right order. So didn't even manage to take this player back down to their starting life total. I think Authority of the Consuls definitely needs to eat some removal here. Unless we can keep our board intact, we'll see if there's a board wipe for our opponents to play. Yawgmoth Ram Physician, there it is. Only one creature to sacrifice at the moment, thankfully. And then no rest for the wicked. Sacrifice it, return to your hand all creatures that were put into the graveyard from play this turn. It's a good one for Yawgmoth. I tend to sacrifice tokens with this though, so that might suggest that our opponent has non-token strategies to sacrifice things. Maybe lots of black creatures with death triggers and stuff like that. Bloodghast now swinging in at the Boros player as well, so taking them back down to 40 life. And now if anyone's got a board wipe, I would imagine it was this player, but there's every chance there could be red mass burn over here. We'll see what Firesong and Sunspeaker has. A hideaway card first of all. And these soldier tokens look awesome. I was just looking at the board there. Never played with Lena before. Well of Lost Dreams from the life game player, so they can start refilling their hand hopefully. They'll probably draw a few cards on our turn with Authority of the Consuls. They can put any mana they like into this. But yeah, I was just looking at the tokens that this produces, and yeah, those soldiers look awesome. Never seen the artwork of that. What do you think of these tokens? Proliferate, coming from the Niv-Mizzet Perun player now. This seems like a very strange Niv-Mizzet deck. Anyway, going for a Proliferate with the Khan's Bastion. And I think the only thing they can proliferate is the Primal Amulet, so maybe trying to get some kind of allegiance going here between these two. I think our play next turn is Generous Gift onto this, so that it switches our haste back on, but it also switches off all the life gain, so they won't draw as many cards from Well of Lost Dreams. And then a Lightning Greaves onto our commander I think is okay. We'll see what we draw into anyway. Those plans might change in a minute. Alright, Grand Abolisher does change things. The thing is, I want Grand Abolisher down with a Lightning Greaves on it to switch off the Yawgmoth. I think this switches off abilities, doesn't it? They can't activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. So yeah, I think we're going for the same tactic here. We'll have to be careful how we swing in exactly, because they will have an elephant in the way. They went for something in response there. I'm not sure. I'm hoping they don't have removal for our commander, because that kind of stops our turn in its tracks. But if we went to the beginning of combat, they could do it in response to that anyway, so we might as well try and land a Greaves on our commander. And if they do have spot removal, I imagine they would have used it there. We won't be able to give double strike to our commander is the only thing, but I think we swing in our commander here and turn everything else sideways in over here, because they seem to have their eyes locked on us. And seemingly it's for good reason. Alright, now let's go in for an attack. I think Winota goes in at Boros, because they can't block very well with that. And then we'll take the Goblin Rabblemaster in at them as well, and we'll give that double strike. And everything else can go in at the Izzet player. I want to try and keep Yawgmoth off of our back for now. So if they see that we're not attacking in at them, then maybe they'll leave us be. Although they probably shouldn't. So there's a bunch of triggers. We'll put Rabblemaster on the stack first. That will become a huge creature with double strike. Almost. It might encourage them to block with the elephant. I really want that out of the way, so we've got more of a free reign with our attacks. And then we've got 2, 4, 6 and 8 triggers with Winota. The first one is a whiff. The second one is a whiff, so maybe we need to get some more humans in the deck. The third one is a whiff as well. That's 18 cards and no humans to flip into. Alright, here we go. There's some card draw there. Oh, but Jared is... yeah, that's more Wrath Protection, isn't it? So yeah, I think we get Jared there. Argument to be made for the other white creature that gives us card draw, but we'll see what we get into here. We'll be able to cycle through our entire library and get back to it again if the game goes on long enough. Okay, protection from mass bounce on a Stormfront Riders sounds good, because the blue player probably runs Cyclonic Rift, and yeah, no one else will be running Cyclonic Rift. One, because they're not in the right colours, but two, because they're not a patron of the channel, so they don't know about our ban list. We don't run Cyclonic Rift in our play group. Stormfront Riders, by the way, is, well, it has haste and indestructible as well as flying, but enters the battlefield, return 2 creatures you control to their owner's hand, and whenever another creature is returned to your hand from the battlefield, you create some soldier tokens. So that's really good with a Cyclonic Rift. A Fault Line now deals X damage to each creature without flying and each player. I think we just have to go for Lena at this point. So let's sacrifice Lena and try and keep most of our creatures in play. So there we go. We obviously lose the Lena. We lose Bruce Tarl as well. Kept this thing because it's indestructible. And then we have to bounce a couple of creatures back to hand. Let's just bounce the plants. We'll trade those out. Also noteworthy that the Bloodghast has gone down. I don't think Yawgmoth sacrificed in response to that, because they probably F6'd through all of this to speed things up. But anyway, we trade out our plants for some more useful soldiers, and then we've still got triggers from Winota. She's a really, really good Boros commander, apparently. I have to read all these because I don't know what all of them do. Ah, double damage. Yeah, I think that is... Yeah, I think that's the one to go for there. Angrath's Marauders. That can go in at the blue player as well. I haven't worked out all the damage and everything. And then we've got another indestructible thing that cares about allies entering and itself. And creatures gain double strike. Plus they're gaining... they're making double the damage. So can we actually work this out here? No, Modo won't actually show us where we're attacking. No, that's a shame. Let's just continue to aim some more at the Izzet player. I have no idea if we're taking anyone out this turn. But the Rabblemaster jumps up to a 5-2 with double strike, so that's 10 damage twice from that alone. Yeah, let's see how much damage we deal here. Wow, okay. Turn 6, bear in mind there's been no board wipe. We did get a counter, I think we got a little bit of removal maybe, but yeah. Alright, apparently Winota is a very, very, very good Boros commander. We just took out 2 players on turn 6, and we had to remove something to make use of our haste as well. Yeah, we'll see what Yawgmoth's got for us. I mean, they need a board wipe really, but even that won't do it for them thanks to the Gerard. Well, they go for a Sign in Blood, they might as well, and try and get into Damnation or Toxic Deluge. And they play a land, and that gets them back the Bloodghast, which they can sacrifice to Yawgmoth. That's about as much use as that's going to be, because Bloodghast is not able to block, but they can draw a card with it. Then an Animate Dead goes on to Lena, maybe? Yeah, that does go on to Lena. I don't think that's going to be good enough for them. It's just crazy that the creatures come in tapped and attacking. I mean, it would be really good if they didn't do that, but the fact that you can just lay on even more damage is insane. Anyway, they get into a bunch of tokens thanks to our Lena. And there's a Zulaport Cutthroat as well for a bit of drain. I don't think... Obviously they've got 4 creatures to sacrifice here, a 5th maybe there. I still don't think it's enough. But maybe they could clear our Gerard out of the way and survive until next turn. And then go in for a board wipe or something. Alright, we get into a land. We've got... I think we just go for Grand Abolisher at this point. And if that doesn't set Yawgmoth off, then, well, they can't go for anything this turn. Yeah, I think Nightspawn is just kind of giving it to us because they see the writing on the wall. Let's go for... We don't need to bother with moving Lightning Greaves around, do we? We'll just hold up the Indestructible just in case that's relevant. In fact, if we can just swing in with everything, then I think the Indestructible is relevant, isn't it? So in that case, let's go for Rootborn Defences now, actually. And I don't think it really matters. We'll just give one of the soldiers haste. Not haste, we'll give one of the haste soldiers indestructible. I'm just trying to swing in with as many things as possible so we can flip our library out. Bear in mind, we've still got double damage. If we can get into the other ally that we've got in the deck, we'll have double strike as well. So we might as well just swing in with everything. We'll hold Winota back. And then there's a flyer here. We'll hold back the Grand Abolisher. Yeah, I think that's okay. So how many triggers is it this time? Goblin Rabblemaster comes down. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. I don't even know how many humans we've got in the deck, but that's, what is that? That is 72 cards flipped, isn't it? And we've only got 79 in the deck, so we're getting back to the point where we've got all of our entire deck flipped out. Getting to Captain of the Night Watch, which is that soldiers +1/+1. Yeah, we've got plenty of soldiers in play, so 2/2 that deals double the damage. Yeah, we want to get into a double striker really. Gold Knight Commander, yeah, that's a really good one, and that's a soldier as well, so it's getting into it at the beginning of the stack if you can help it. That's what you want to do, because now we're going to get a bunch more creatures and all of our stuff is going to get buffed. I mean, look at that. That's a 23/23, and it has Flying and Vigilance, so this is probably the game for our opponent. Gold Knight Commander already triggering, giving all of our stuff +1/+1. I think pretty much every Winota deck is going to run like this. Yeah, we're already, like I said, getting back round to the creatures that we've already seen. So Geist Honored Monk is going to be huge. What is that? A 25/25, even bigger when it brings its spirits into play. But yeah, basically doing this is humans that enter the battlefield and give you an effect. You don't really want to run humans that have attack trigger abilities because they enter tapped and attacking, so you won't get those attack triggers. But ETB effects, like bringing in more tokens to swing in with and stuff like that, bearing in mind that the soldiers don't count as humans, even though they clearly are. So they will trigger your commander as well. Just whiffing a bunch more times. I don't think we've shuffled our library, so it should all be in the same order. There it is again, Mentor of the Meek. Want to get into that ally, but I don't know if we will or not. Don't think we need to at this point though. Yeah, Magus of the Wheel. I've also got an Eldrazi in here, the first Kozilek, because then we can shuffle our stuff back into our library. But I aimed, yeah, we don't get into that ally. Yeah, I aimed for making stuff indestructible and stuff while it's in play, which I think is the way to go. You want to try and keep all of your stuff in play and never have to rebuild, but I was worried about cycling the whole deck around and then people managing to wipe the board, and then we wouldn't have any humans left to cycle into with our commander. So I had the Eldrazi in there to shuffle things up. I don't know how relevant it's going to be though. And there we go, -431. So, like I said, apparently Winota is a very, very good Boros deck. I'm not much of a Boros player, but if you were thinking of checking out this colour combination, then I think Winota is probably one of the best commanders you can go for, if not the best. I'm going to play another game with my opponents now because that wasn't much of an interactive one for them, so hopefully you all enjoy that one and hopefully you all look forward to the next game. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you do want to see the next one and have it played into your feed. I'm Tribal Kai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.